Hey everybody, welcome to this issue of Staffing Monthly, the industry's only digital magazine that provides you thought, leadership, and actionable insights from the best of the best in the industry. And we focus on marketing, sales, recruiting, operations, as well as technical and resource reviews. And today we're actually talking about a leadership story. And this is a gentleman that I've gotten to know pretty well over the last couple of years. And I recently got a chance to sit down with him at an owner's roundtable and actually hear more about his journey and what got him into the staffing industry, leading a global company. And I was taken aback. I was genuinely inspired by the initiative, the perseverance, the passion to just do something meaningful and purpose filled with this gentleman's life. And I just was like, it's a really cool story and I want to share it with you. And that's what we're going to just dig into today is the origin story of Macky Bordeos, who is the board chair and CEO of McCare Global, which is a global healthcare staffing company, but they are a lot more than that. They're actually a group of companies that also focus on consulting, education, immigration, technology, and merchandise, which you'll understand why all those pieces come together once you hear Macky's story. And he is somebody that is starting to get attention. Last year, he was actually awarded with the Entrepreneur of the Year award, and McCare Global was actually awarded a Business Excellence Award as well. So he's doing great things leading his company. And I believe it's truly because of his journey and his passion and conviction to excellence and doing the right thing that is, kind of the cause or the root for his success. So, with that, I'm excited to dig into this. And Mackie, just thank you for being here today and enjoying or joining us on Staffing Monthly.
Oh, thank you so much, Dan, for the invite. And I always enjoy, talking to you and, going to your conferences because I do really learn a lot. If you were inspired with my story, I'm also inspired with your story. And I think I did mention this to you like 2 years ago when attended a conference and you were one of the speaker and you did provided the metric, so that was the one that was really hit me. And then so when I went home, so I implemented it in my company, that every year that we need to forecast what we needed and how to reach that, and through that it helps me grow. You're one of the factors also why we were able to find ways to really excel in what we do. So thank you so much, Dan.
I love that, man. I appreciate you saying that, and I love to hear that story. I believe that was probably the SIA conference when we first met, the exec forum, which is it's a great event, and I'm always grateful to hear that people benefit from the stuff that I share and put it into practice. So, uh, but I want to go way further back in time. The part that actually shocked me is your actual what got you into staffing. But before we get there, can you just talk about kind of like where you hail from originally and where your kind of travels have taken you before you got into staffing?
Yeah, so I'm originally from the Philippines. So I'm a nurse by profession, and I did work in emergency room, and I also taught in the university. It's De La Salle University in Dasmariñas, Cavite. And then after that, I moved to Qatar. I worked there for 3 years as a paramedic before I went to Canada. So uh, my friend that was working here in Winnipeg, Manitoba, had a classmate in dialysis, and she just asked the previous manager, "Do you have any opening in the hospital you have?" And then she said, "There is. So why don't let your friend apply?" So I applied online. They interviewed me. So in a small community in Manitoba, it's called Asher, Manitoba. It's a very small community, and they were the one who hired me to move to Canada. So that's where, I started working as emergency room nurse in a small community, and then moved to the city after 2 years, and then started working as travel nurse. And then that's where I had an idea. So why don't I open up my own agency, because we're short of of nurses in Manitoba during that time. And when I came, there's already, the hospital I work with already have an agency that's working. And I saw that, like, how come those people that doesn't have any background in healthcare could put up their own business? Why not me as a nurse? And I see the discrepancy in terms of, the pay, because I also work as a manager in that small hospital, so I know how much the contract of the agency that we contracted. And then, when I quit and, do travel nursing, I met some of the travel nurses that we work in the same company.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, like, how come your pay is like this and my pay is different? Because I know what the contract is. That's the reason why, I could advocate for myself. But looking at that, I felt like it's not fair that, just because some other nurses doesn't know the contract or, the bill rate that they have, then, some agency could take advantage of that. So I was encouraged, why not to put something. And then I met this one nurse when I was working as a travel nurse, which is my previous client. And she asked me, why don't you, join me? And I said that I really wanted to, but I just don't have any finances to start with. And she said, it's not a problem, I'll do the finances. You do all the work, because she knows that, I'm pretty good with organization, hiring, and scheduling and things like that. So I was the one who managed that part. And then after a year, when we were growing exponentially, she started to talk to me and say, like, uh, I've talked to my lawyer, and she said that just because, the one who provided the finances, can we go down into 60-40, where initially it was a 50-50.
Oof.
And then, yeah, and then I told her, like, okay, let me think about it. And then she contacted me again, and she said that, what, I think 730 is more fair. And so that's the time that I hired my own lawyer, corporate lawyer, just to, to look into the contract that we sign
Yeah.
and see what are my options and things like that. And I'm surprised that, I received a lot of call and emails from, the nurses that I hired, and they said that, hey, we received an email that you're no longer connected with the company. So I connected with her, and, she said that, what, I decided just to remove you from the company because you don't want to agree to what I wanted.
Wow. Wow. So it's got to be a gut punch. You obviously you set out and you had good intentions. You understood there was a pretty big, spread between pay and bill rate, and you wanted to advocate for yourself and those that might not be aware of that and create your own agency. And and one thing that really stood out when we met, a few months ago at the roundtable is you said you wanted to do it so you could actually increase pays, but not necessarily increase the bill rate. So you were going to kind of compress the spread, the piece you were getting, so you could actually give more to the nurses. And was that, did that hold true? I really want, that was moving to me. So like, were you able to do that? And do you think that's what attracted so many of the nurses to you specifically?
Yes. So when I started doing my own, so after she removed me, and I met this, very helpful and lovely accountant who become my friend and become my mentor, helped me how to do the business plan, and then, look into margins and whatnot. And he knows that that is my intention, really, is to make sure that, nurses are well compensated, that, will be competitive, in terms of our pay. And I mean, in the market, especially in US, we know that, 23% is the ideal, but I can
Yeah.
go down up to 14% to 16% margins, just to make sure, that nurses are well compensated. And, when I started, it's only few of us doing that. And then uh there are a lot of nurses now that own their own agency here in Manitoba, and they're also competitive, just because their overhead is also, no, not high, then they could provide more, right?
Yeah.
So, but
Yeah.
that is something that I'm happy, because, they I'm not sure really if they followed me and they providing more, which is good, right? Just because again, me as a nurse, I know how it's hard to go to different places. You leave your family, you stay there for a long period of time. Like, as a Filipino, I'm used to that because I am an OFW, an overseas foreign worker, right? That's the reason I went to
Yeah.
Qatar and work, right? Because of a better pay. And now, these nurses would leave their comfort, would go to different places. And I think they just deserve what is due to them.
And I appreciate that. I really do. I think that's a pretty strong value proposition. If you do something that will inherently let you take better care of the workers, the people that are out in the field, serving your clients, I think you're going to get better workers. And I think that that is going to translate to better results for your clients and then therefore more clients. So I love that. But let's jump back to this. So you found out you were in this sort of contentious battle with this woman, this investor, that kind of financially backed the venture, agreed kind of on a handshake 50-50. That sounds like maybe going into it, she agreed to 50-50 because she didn't have a lot of faith that it was gonna, grow exponentially. And then once it started growing exponentially, she's like, hey, maybe I need to renegotiate my investment here. And you're in this contentious thing, you're reviewing it with legal, and it's 60, 50-50, 60-40, 70-30. And then you find out from one of your nurses, like not even from the person, like you just find this out, like, and you get sort of that setback. How did how did the final separation happen? Did it at least get to be amicable, or like how did you really, or was it just ugly and messy? Like how did the final breakup really play out?
Yeah, so when it happened, my lawyer advised me, told me like if you're really the face of that company that you're saying, then put up your own company, but don't approach any of your client. Let them approach you because again, right? So there is a non-disclosure, non-compete clause in the
Yeah.
contract that I signed. But my lawyer said, you know what? Usually it doesn't stand up in the court because that is your livelihood. So what kind of livelihood you're gonna have, right? But I still follow his her advice. So I did not approach, but uh, true enough, a lot of the clients that I had with that agency approached me and said that you know what, we could give you a contract because I we love how you work, and we also know the kind of work that you do as a nurse. So we want to give you that contract. So I did sign a contract to two regional health authority in Manitoba during that time. And then when she heard about it, she filed a lawsuit against me. And so, yeah, so, the lawyer that I hired, talked to me and they do like, written initially, but it would come to a point that there would be I'm pretty sure there would be like a courtroom or whatnot. But I think it's around 1.5 year when she decided that you know what, let's just meet halfway. So we meet halfway, because she still did not give me the 50% of the income for that year, right? So but yeah, so when it happens, my accountant will help me review the books that was given to him, and then he said that you know what, it doesn't matter, Mackie, whether how much you're gonna have, as long as you have your own agency and grow that agency. So I did not fight it, whatever that was provided to me, even though that I know it's more than, but I did not, ask more. Whatever it is, it's good for me, just for me to pay the lawyer that I hired during that time. And and what is good, it's a blessing because I always say this that if in the event that we did not separated, her company would be the one that would be uh blessed that much of
Yeah.
what I am enjoying right now. So it's still a blessing. I know it
Yeah.
sounds like it's devastating, and usually that's your initial uh what you're gonna feel, and that's what I felt that time. And but God has a better plan. I met this accountant that helped me, and ten years going back to that, where I am right now, I'm very satisfied. If that, that challenge, that experience did not happen, then, I might have missed the real plan of God for me to have this, 7 companies that I'm running right now.
Yeah, and that's one thing that I always find inspiring and appreciate about your mindset, is you genuinely do seek to find the positive in a situation and kind of hang on to that, and not let the negative define you or the situation. But so let me ask this, man, because like I know in the moment, like I know that you can look back and do that, and I appreciate that, but in the moment it is sort of devastating. So like why I know the lawyer was like, "Hey, just go start out on your own." But like with a major setback like that, did the thought ever cross your mind to be like, "You know what? Maybe I don't want to get into recruiting. Maybe I just want to go back to nursing." Like, did you ever have that thought about, just kind of going back to nursing and getting out of recruiting?
Well, I'm still nursing during that time, right? But I still wanted to run my own staffing just because of that. I would say that advocacy that really helped nurses just like me to really enjoy the perks of working as a travel nurse, right? Just because, again, a better income for them and things like that. And I love, you know, traveling in different hospital because especially in remote areas, right? Because there are usually the one that needed more nurses.
Yeah.
Big city, there are a lot of nurses in there, but in smaller facility, uh it's difficult. If there's no nurses, then some of the hospital are closing just because they doesn't have enough staff. So I really want that really to happen because I think in the beginning, when I met, that lady, I think, that is just an open door, but there would be a bigger one, and that was just an instrument. So I really did not thought of stopping because I know that there would always be a way. Things happen for a reason, and I think that was a good thing that happened because again, I still was able to put up my own company, providing a competitive pay and additional perks for the nurses that choose us as a company to
Yeah.
work.
I
Mhm.
love that. So you basically just you had this conviction, this driving force behind you that you felt that, advocating for your people was a more noble and important mission to pursue than just maybe serving your own, financial needs. And I really, like I said, I appreciate that. I cannot tell you how inspiring that is because a lot of times when people face adversity today, they just give up,
Mhm.
and that's tough. There's really two more things I want to explore. I want to talk about the dynamic of McCare Global and when you're placing nurses, like what is your model? Do you have, a bench staff of nurses that you just kind of have on the payroll that you deploy around all your facilities, or are you constantly recruiting, or like what is your model for serving healthcare facilities?
So in Canada, we there in when we started, it's more of the word of mouth that you know this agency, McCare Global Health Services, because I heard that they're taking care of their nurses more, that you know uh they are not transactional, and that is what I always say to all my staff, that you know uh not because of this healthcare professional, nurses, LPN, or RN and healthcare aid or the other allied health, that if not for them, we don't have any business at all. So we really need to take care of them. It's not that they should be the one be thankful to us. We should be the one be thankful to them, because if they're gonna choose us and they're gonna perform well, then that is good for us, right? So uh that is where we started, is by the word of mouth. And then as you evolve, there are competitors, right?
Yeah.
In Manitoba, we started with, like, I think 6 or 7 of us as an agency, but currently there are 71 agency just
Ha!
here in Manitoba. Yeah,
Oof.
yeah. So
Oof.
a lot of nurses, that previously work for me, also put up their own, and those that work with that agency put their own. So yeah, so it become competitive, and then so we need to evolve also, right? So that's where we started doing upskilling, where if you're a long-term care nurse, I could, upskill you to become an acute care nurse. And if you're an acute care nurse, you wanted to become an ER nurse, then we upskill you and things like that. And when they go into those program, we pay for them.
Wow.
The hours that they would put into the program, we pay them. And then we partner with some of the hospital that are willing to take these nurses that really doesn't have any experience, but we assure them, that we're training them. At the same time, we have a program in place that we are following it up until such time that they are really comfortable and feel safe to practice by their own. At the same time, we are also concerned with public safety, like the safety of the patient that they're taking care of. So we have something in place to making sure that they're doing that. And until now, we're still doing it. There are some hospital that would approach us and will say, "Oh, we heard that you have that kind of program. How can we go about that?" Right. So right now, I think we in emergency room we already have like six cohort that we've done. And it also increased the capacity, not just for us to fill some of the remote areas, but they go to different hospital now in a remote area to work as as ER nurses or acute care nurses.
Man, that hits something that I think more staffing leaders need to think about. I know that a lot of my messaging over the past couple of years has been hyper focused on sales and business development, and especially recently talking about how agencies need to redefine or refresh their unique value proposition so they can properly communicate it to the prospects and clients out there. But one thing we often lose sight of is the fact that yes, prospects and clients have a lot of options for staffing agencies because we've got a lot of competition, but candidates do too. Candidates can choose from a litany of different staffing agencies to go apply to and work with. And then on top of that, they have every other employer that they can apply to, different job boards. So I think it's really important that staffing agencies think about what is the unique value proposition that they're offering to the candidate. Why should a candidate choose to work with a particular agency? And I think the way that you crafted that by having, one, a better rev share model, higher pay, taking better care of your nurses, giving them perks, but also the upskilling piece. I mean, you're helping give them upward mobility that not only are they going to upskill and get value from that, now that's going to make them eligible for higher paying jobs that if you're also going to pay even higher than market for. And this has had this upward flywheel effect that just really benefits the nurses, and they're naturally going to talk about that. So I think that's a brilliant play on your part. Kudos to you, man.
Mhm. Yeah.
So last thing I want to talk about today, because I know that you have not just staffing. I know because of your journey, being a kind of a foreign worker and going through this and kind of, migrating from country to country on your journey, you do focus on education like you were just talking about, but you focus on immigration, technology, and merchandise. Can you just tell us a little bit about that? Like, how are you bringing the staffing, consulting, education, immigration, technology, and merchandise? Like, how are you bringing those elements together under the McCare Global group of companies?
Mhm. So let's say with the immigration, I've seen a lot of immigration consultant in Canada wherein they are advertising, like, there's a lot of opening of nurses going to Canada and things like that, but they really doesn't know the difficulty of these foreign nurses when they come to Canada, that they will not be able to practice as a nurse just because of the uh difficulty of getting their license, right? So they are not presenting that. What they're just presenting is, come to Canada, there's a better life for you. There's a lot of need of nurses, which is true, but they doesn't present to you the challenges that they're experiencing. That's the reason why I went into immigration. I study immigration with my niece, and we're classmates. And then so I'm running the company already. I'm studying, just for me again, wanting the international educated nurses know that it's not easy for you to come in here. there would be other pathway. I could help you, doing that pathway or whatnot, right? And then, then when I started working in US, 2018 when we started, we opened up also direct hire for foreign nurses to go to US. And right now, we started hiring during COVID in one of the country. I'm not going to mention what country is that,
Huh?
but now we have already around six that are in US, and there are three that is coming this year,
That's
right?
great.
So yeah, and we know pretty well in terms of that docu process. So in the Philippines, when a branch out in the Philippines, we have the consulting for documentation, for education if they wanted to go to US, Australia, and Canada. So we provide them again with transparency that these how difficult it is to go. It's not that you come, you put them into this country and then leave them
Yeah.
alone, right? So we want to make sure that they understand that when they move to Australia, to US, to Canada, there are difficulties. It's not just going to be you know
Show up and go work.
yes, and then you're gonna have a good life, right?
Yeah.
So that's the reason why I went to a consulting when we put up our branch in the Philippines. And then in terms of the technology, so when I was exposed with those conferences, SIA, your summit every
Yeah.
year or whatnot, I'm thinking like, oh my God, I'm spending a chunk of money with the the ATS, any kind of
Yeah.
platform, right? So, and I have a friends that are into technology, and they approached me and they said, what do you think of this and that? And I'm thinking, you know what, I'll finance you, and then create a program for McCare Global. Let's test it with McCare Global, and
Yeah.
once it's working for us, then sell it to all other agencies, just like the way we're doing things,
Yeah.
right? That's the reason why I went to a technology. It's a startup. It's just been a year, so now they are doing the back end because that is our challenge, meaning the automation that with the a nurse clock in, they clock out, go to the system, automatic compute how much is their pay. It's the same way with the bill rate, the invoice that it would just auto populated, right? So that is what they're working right now. And
Nice.
then in terms of the merchandise, I love giving giveaways. Right, and I think you love that too, right?
Yeah.
Everything that you have, an expensive mug, an expensive notebook, etc. Yes, look at that. I have that too. But anyway, so I seen into in my books that I spending a lot with that. So and then I also have a friend that are interested of doing that, and she said that, like, what, are you interested of financing it? Yes, why not? Because I'm spending. So instead of me putting it to other company that they earn from me, why not put up my own promotional merchandise
Okay.
company.
All right. All
Yeah,
right. I
yeah.
like the model. I like that. Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
so
that
that
that make that makes it makes sense because you're already spending the money anyway, and you're probably like down costing a little bit by bringing that, creating a subdivision that supports it, and then hopefully you can cover the rest of the cost through, external distribution. So that's smart. That's smart. I dig your hustle, man. I do.
yeah.
Well, that's awesome. I love that story. I really do. As I've said multiple times throughout this, is that your passion for the industry and advocating for nurses and healthcare workers and providers that really keep healthcare systems going and patients cared for around the world has really led you to build a multifaceted organization that is helping people have upward mobility in their healthcare careers. And I applaud that, man. And I certainly encourage you to keep going and see how far you can take it. If there's anybody that wants to learn more about McCare Global, or maybe there's a nurse watching this and they want to connect with you and learn more about opportunities, what's the best way for people to get in touch with you?
So they could check our website at McCare Global. com, and there would be, a way of them messaging us, and they could also email us at apply@macareglobal.com. And I'm not sure if I mentioned this to you, that this coming July we're gonna be open in Australia. So we're gonna be Macare Global Australia. So
Nice.
we're yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So we're looking into hiring nurses, butchers, caregivers. So, and again, US is still open for us, for nurses, for direct hire. We're looking into that. And then for Canada, we cannot offer a direct hire, just because the dynamic is different,
Yeah.
but we could assist you if you have family that are in Canada and you wanted to come in here. You could reach out to us to provide. We usually provide a free consultation for immigration, whatever option that they could go. So yeah, so if you're looking into going US, Canada, Australia, you could check our website at macareglobal.com, and then you could reach out through that website. You could send us a message.
Well, that's awesome, man. I'll get those links right on the page here and also link to your LinkedIn page because I know you're on there as well. So, Mackie, I appreciate your time and just sharing your story. I think it's an inspiration, and I'm sure other people that watch this will kind of recognize the inspiration that I've pulled from it. So, I appreciate you, man, and I hope you have a great rest of your time. And just send me the ribbon cutting info for Australia.
For sure, I'll send you a picture. Yeah, and we're also gonna be opening our third branch in the Philippines, in Dasmariñas, Cavite. That will be our third local branch in the Philippines. So yeah, and thank you, Dan, for this opportunity that I could talk with my experience. And I think this is not to brag, but to really inspire other people that there would be a lot of difficulties along the way in whatever you do, but definitely there would always be victory in every challenges. And people have opened doors for myself, so I want to open doors also. God have blessed me, and I want to be a channel of blessing for those people too.
I love that about you, man. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you so much, Dan. Take care.